I write thrillers that have to thrill. They have to move from the first page to the last page very quickly. The American author Mickey Spillane said, "People don't read books to get to the middle. We read books to get to the end." And it's the author's job to make sure that we move from the first page to the last page as quickly as we can. So how do I do that? Well, there are a lot of things that are, I guess I would say, tools of the trade that I use. And the first one is I outline the book. I make sure that I structure the book beforehand. I spend, in the case of Carte Blanche or any one of my Lincoln-Rhyme thrillers like The Bone Collector, 8 months doing the outline. The outlines are hundreds of pages long. So I know the book's going to be thrilling. And it's appropriate I'm talking to my friends at Audible because words are as much about sound as they are about substance. I am very conscious of what the word sounds like because, originally stories were told. Most of the world was illiterate. They would sit around the campfire and the storyteller would create a story, pass it down. Look at Greek theater, for instance, and even Etruscan pre-Roman theater was all performed. This was all an oral tradition, and I think we sometimes get away from that. Toward the very end of the process, I read the book aloud to myself, and I make a lot of changes at that point because although I've read it before, it reads fine, but it doesn't sound fine. I have about 85 to 90,000 friends on Facebook who, all over the world, including many German friends and fans, they respond very, very well that not only the translation is good, but the readers do a very, very good job. Dietmar Wunder, who is a wonderful fellow, great voice, and the voice of Daniel-Craig in the films, has been reading my books, and I know he does a fantastic job. I never get over the excitement of seeing my book on the newsstand or on the shelf of a bookstore, or when I'm online, seeing it as one of the featured titles on Audible. It's for me just a great thrill. I'm very, very proud of it. Because it kind of validates my theory about writing, which is that reading is a very special thing, and that I work very, very hard to give readers what I think will enhance their experience with a book, either listening to it or reading it, and to see my books out there and know that I've sold, I think the figure now is like 35 million copies of my books have been sold around the world. It just gives me a very wonderful, exciting feeling. I'm very proud about it, to be a part of people's lives in that way. The worst thing in the world is to start with chapter 1. James Bond was born in 1978. He's 6 feet tall. He has blue eyes. Well, readers are going to be turned off immediately. So I like to ladle the information in slowly, so that by the time the book is well underway into the 3rd, 4th, 5th chapter, there's a very good idea of who that character is. You can't just do that for the good guys, though. Your villains have to be as detailed as your heroes. But more important, they have to have some good in them, because nobody believes anybody who is purely evil. For instance, in Carte Blanche, the new James Bond novel, the villain is an environmentalist. He is a recycler. He has a huge series of recycling plants around the world, and his goal is to commit some crimes that we learn about eventually in the book, and I don't want to give anything away, but we look at him and we think, well, he's doing a good thing. He cares about the earth. What is... Now, people have then asked me, do I not care about global warming? Do I not recycle? Well, of course I do, but that's not me. This is a character in the book. So I try to make sure my books are universal enough. The crimes of murder, terrorism, theft, cheating, huge banking scams, things like that, kidnappings, will resonate for readers everywhere. I think it's my job to make sure that all of my fans, from the biggest city to the smallest, have a very exciting time. If I were to meet somebody from my college days or even younger, and they were to say, oh, I saw your latest book, Jeff. What took you so long? And the joke would be that I started writing when I was 11 years old. And I knew that I wanted to tell stories for a living. And I've been doing that ever since. I've had other jobs because I'm also somewhat responsible. I was a journalist. I have worked for publishing companies. I was an attorney for a while because it's hard to make a living as a novelist. It was 20 years ago when I was able to quit my jobs and work full-time as a writer. But it took quite a while to do that. So no, I have known, well, I've hoped all along that I would be a novelist. Most satisfying to me is when the readers come up to me after an event and have said, you know, your books moved me. Your books took me away from maybe a stay in the hospital. I had a long trip, and your book made that time go faster. So it's that connection with readers that I find very, very satisfying. And I have to say that some countries that happens more in than others. And in Germany, I know I will be wonderfully exhausted because I will have had so many fans and readers come up to me and say what I just said, things like that. And I can't think of a better, more successful way to spend a book tour than something like that.